And also, this is being live streamed right now up there. So if y'all want to take a look back there and wave, all our nonprofit partners, the USO, Charity Navigator, Mission Continues, are all spreading this link. So everything you guys do right now is actually going to be spread live. So for the troops out in different bases, as well as those on the ships that couldn't be here today, I appreciate that you guys are here. I see a lot of beautiful smiling faces. Man, look at this. I also want to give it up for Workshop for Warriors. Look at the warriors here today. Could y'all stand up? Everybody can see y'all. That is awesome. Fellas, feel free to have a seat. And man, we are packed. We're going to need some more seats back there. But I am so happy to be here because this is something that we all did. Like everyone here is a volunteer. Everyone really helped through the kindness of their hearts. And it's great when you give back to your country, especially when you inspire your country with great stories. And that's what you guys are going to hear today. People that have defied the odds, people that have great survival stories. And that's our theme for tonight. And it's funny because our next speaker that you're about to hear from, I approached him because I said, you know, there's a lot of transitioning vets that are starting businesses that really need help. I mean, imagine they gave back to their country and they're trying to start their own business and they really don't know how. Could you give them a little advice so that they can move their business forward just like they moved this country forward and they protected us? Without further ado, I want to introduce our next speaker, Neil Centuria. Give him a round of applause.
Thanks. I'm really deeply honored to be here. I think I was asked, it's a little loud, I think I was asked because they needed to raise the average age in the room. So you're going to hear tonight, I had a chance to meet some of the other speakers. By the way, just like in the military, I'm going to be done at 17 minutes before 7. So you're going to hear from really important people who have served your country and experienced real combat, and they're going to tell you stories that are a little different than the one I'm going to tell you. Now, it is true, I was in the Army, was right after the Civil War. I did my basic at Fort Polk, Louisiana. If anybody's in Louisiana, just yourself. It was miserable. So, but what I'm telling you is that I learned a lot. So what I'm also going to tell you is I'm going to tell you a few things, but you all have the skills because I know what it was to be trained, and you've all been trained. Now, here's the other piece of news. I've never met any of you before. Over the last 2.5 years, I've been a speaker at the Miramar Brig. There are 300 prisoners there, and on several occasions, I get 75 or 80 people to talk about entrepreneurship. The good news is I've not seen any of you, so you haven't been in the brig. I wrote a book, and this is really my version of my experiences as I was over the past 10 or 15 years. The story comes from, "I'm there for you, baby," is what people who are rat brains in Hollywood say to you when they're not really going to have the next meeting. So that's what this book was, to try to tell the truth of entrepreneurship. And we have a copy of the second volume. See, it's a little arrogant when you put the word volume 1, like we weren't sure we were going to actually do a second volume. It's in the back, and you can have it and be my guest. Okay, here's what you're going to need to know. You're going to hear real things from the other speakers. I'm going to tell you that this issue of force of will, you're trained, you can hold your breath underwater, you're going to swim, and you're going to demolition, you're going to drive engineers, you're going to avoid IEDs. I understand that. But in fact, the world really operates primarily based on luck. This is a little bit hard. I'm going to tell you some more about it. So I had 3 careers. I spent 10 years, as I told you, in Hollywood. And I'm a big, is this thing red? Oh, I'm a big believer in this, and I'll tell you why. So there is a famous, I'm a devotee, I guess you'd say, of this guy named Dan Kahneman. Dan Kahneman is a Nobel Prize winner in economics. He's the expert on behavioral economics, why people make stupid decisions on a regular basis. And the other guy is called Nassim Taleb, and he wrote a book called The Black Swan. What is this about? It says, in essence, it's very hard to make good decisions. It's very hard to make good decisions. And I'm going to suggest to you that these books might be interesting reading. Now, let me go back to luck for a minute. There's a small-time, kind of second-rate investor named Warren Buffett. And he gives a talk. Every May he gives a talk. And what he says is this. He says, I won the lottery when I was born in America. Wow. So you guys really, this is quite something to think about. I am a believer in luck. So let me go back and tell you a little bit about this guy. Here's what he says in his book. He says, luck is not random. And he says it is an actual force. It goes through the world. It's like this. It's just like a sine curve. He says the trick is this. You need to stand on the train station and wait. And the train will come through. And when it does, you get on. So luck is not random. It actually is a force that comes through. The trick there was you got to be on the station. You can't leave, can't go to the bathroom, you got to be focused, waiting. It will show up. I am the beneficiary, way beyond whatever, of good fortune. The other thing that Kahneman says, which I like, is to be an optimist. You know, I'm a big fan of sort of positive thinking. So I'll give you a story about entrepreneurship. I have a son who's running a company into the ground called DealStruck. And I think he's going to survive. But here's how he asked me at some point, give me the analogy of being a CEO for an entrepreneurship. He says, I said, here's the trick. You have to hold your breath underwater until you survive. Now, this is kind of an interesting problem that you'll see if you start a company, that there will be a multiplicity of sort of near-death experiences. And the answer is you simply have to hold your breath. You have to assume, the way I liken it to in my own little business is knocking on doors. So I'm going to assume that eventually one door is going to open, and all I got to do is keep bounding on the doors relentlessly. I'm a big fan of relentless pursuit. Until one door, like the magic doors you see in those movies where you hit this, then it opens up. So this is a little bit zen-y, but I'm living proof that it seems to work. So I'm going to talk to you, as I say, I like this guy is different. So this guy, I'm going to suggest you read. This is code for stuff happens. Since it's being streamed, I can't now. I know the military doesn't use words like that. So here's what the Black Swan says. The most unlikely events that you think will never happen are actually not random, but are likely. That's another way of saying, then they teach you this in your military experience, you know, develop plan B. That this is really bad things happen. You could understand the 2008 financial crisis, that it wasn't a surprise. Lots of stuff showed up. Let me keep going. My theory here, I actually wrote something. I'm not in the financial business too much, but I'm going to argue that this is code for data. So, for example, people in the stock market, if the stock goes up, they sell it and take their winnings, and if it goes down, they hold on, hoping it'll come back. That's exactly wrong. So what I'm going to suggest to you here, rather than talk about money, is the need to measure data carefully. And I think they teach you this in the military. So it's measure twice, cut once, and it's how hard it is to be rational. So I'm a sort of a coach to some CEOs, in which, how do you make rational decisions? So my theory for survival is to try to increase the odds of making good decisions. There's simple ones like, well, I'm not going to do drugs that probably will increase my likelihood of living longer. But there are much harder decisions, and those are the ones you'd have to work on. Okay, I'm going to tell you two stories. This is called Don't Bet Against the Macro. The macro is this. Macro is the world you can't control. So the story is this. We started a company in 1995, and we sold it in 1999. 1999 was a wonderful year to sell a technology company. The NASDAQ was 17 million, and there were people, if you had a napkin, they would pay you for it. We were lucky. I told you the first slide was about luck. We were lucky. Now, It was good. It was good software. We developed it. It was bought by Cisco for a big number. But the answer is we were lucky because 18 months after 1999, the market crashed. Here's a company that we started in 2008, in August of 2008. So I'll play a game with you. What happened in September of 2008? Okay, Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. So imagine going to start a news company, an online news company that's going to change the world, that depends on advertising, when in fact, the entire world has gone up in the, the crapper. It's done. So luck in your lives matters. Then the next sentence is, I think you can increase the odds of luck by, as I said, being in the game. So the way I tell about it in a baseball, you can be on the field, you can be pitching, you can be in the dugout, you can be in the stands, you can be selling hot dogs, you can be a ticket taker. What you can't be is in the parking lot because you're not in the game. So staying in the game, in the moment matters, and I think being optimistic matters. Now, this is the best rule of all. I wrote the book. The one I left doesn't have all the rules. I wrote a book called I Have 5 Minutes, right? Thank you. I wrote a book called I'm There For You. Baby, it has 221 rules for entrepreneurship. Rule 3, go to, in particular, the ones you know for sure will be a total waste of time. There's a reason. It's when you go to events in which you have no expectations that you are available. Go to them. I went to one in October 7th, 1993. It was raining. It was miserable. I had no intention. It was a waste of my time. I had no idea. It was just, I didn't want to do it. I did it because I teach this stuff. And I met this woman in the back and I married her and we've been together 23 years. So I'm a real believer in go to every meeting, in particular the ones that you know are a waste of time, because those are the ones when things will happen. I'm not really that zenny. Okay, here we go. You cannot see a pimple unless you have a mirror. So I'm going to tell a personal story. In January of 1993, my first wife leaves me. Terrible mistake on her part. However, I decide that I will go see a psychiatrist. I'm going to go see a shrink, an analyst. I'd had a measured childhood. I've been in and out of therapy more or less, but this was the real deal. This is 1993. So I'm going to tell you how important mentors are. Go to the very first meeting with this guy, and he says, if this works, you'll be richer. And I look at him and I say, hey, go fuck yourself. I mean, come on, Zen, feeling good, richer, my life will be better. And I just tee off on him. Then there's this wonderful pause. He says, no, asshole, you'll actually have more money. And I will tell you that at the end of 23 years of seeing the same guy, my number, pick any number you want, is 40x what I invested. So I'm going to tell you that I'm the poster child for the belief in mentoring. So whether it's a mentor or a coach or Clever Talks or a psychiatrist, you cannot see without a mirror, and you cannot do it alone. So I've been very blessed by this. Last one. It's never up to you alone. So that means it's never up to you alone. There's always someone else, a partner, a mentor, a coach, a friend. There you go. And I'm supposed to allow for a couple of minutes of questions. Is that correct, young lady? And there you go.
Yes, that is correct. And let's give Neil Cinturi a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for being on the time schedule. I appreciate that. So I want to open it up to questions. I'm sure
Right
a lot of us here have questions. Does anybody want to ask Neil this any question while he's up here? Anybody? I see hands. Anyone?
Jeez.
I will ask him. If nobody, okay, gentleman in the back, would you like to come up here, or he's got a microphone? Okay.
Do you still see your psychiatrist?
Yes.
Good for you.
I've gone from 3 or 4 times a week down to twice a month, and I think I may go down to once a month. I'll tell you what, seeing a shrink is like going to the gym. We've reached a point after all these years together, every other session, he sits in my chair and asks business questions. So we sort of trade off. But going to the gym is like a routine, and you just go. What's interesting also is you know that you're wasting your time because you know the answers, and the truth is every session something happens. That is the benefit of being optimistic and having a mentor.
Right. And I actually have a question, because I have a lot of troops that come to me and they ask me a lot about startup advice. And so one thing that they find challenging sometimes, and I'm just speaking generally here, is that when they start a business, they do not should they really create a business plan, and is a business plan beneficial?
Wow. So this thing called a business plan is valuable, comma, but. So the classic, if you go back 10 or 15 years and you went to business school, they would teach you how to write a business plan, which would be 25 pages. And I tell people then after you've written it, put it in a drawer. You'll never see it again, and when you take it out, it'll be wrong. But if you don't write something down, it tends to get fuzzy. Now, the thing called a business plan, I don't believe in anymore. The world is now reduced to 10 slides. Guy Kawasaki is a famous leader of startups. He says you got 10 slides, maybe 15, but no more. 12 is a good number. And what I want to know is, what problem do you solve? Who cares? How will I make money doing it? It's enough. You answer those questions, you have a business. And who's the leader? Who's the leader? Somebody asked me earlier how I make investment decisions. 100% of the time, it's the team. It's the team. It's the CEO, founder, scientist, the guy or man or woman. I'm a big fan of smart women. I married 2 of them. That makes the difference. So a business plan is nice. But don't spend too much time. I'll tell you how the answer to the business plan. Shoe leather. Go out and ask the customer, does he care? Will he pay for it? Does anybody care? It really matters. And then they call it sort of lean startup, which is, you write a little bit of something, it's a version 1 or version half, then you test it, then version 1, then version 2, then version 3. That's a good model.
Thank you. And I want to see if anybody else wants to ask a question. Anybody? Oh, right here, right in front.
You mentioned that mentorship is very important. Can you talk about how you chose mentors for yourself and how you chose mentees for yourself?
I've had a couple of mentors. I wish I'd had more when I was younger. I would have done better. The way I pick, I now sort of only do it as I either do it for free for someone I believe and trust, or I get paid by somebody who's working at a real company and can afford it. So what I don't ask is somebody who can't afford it to pay me. That I won't do. It also, I'll tell you a quick story. I'll be honest. So a guy comes to me and asks me to help him. And I take 4 meetings with him over a 3-week period. And what I conclude is he doesn't listen. So my model is, do you listen? You don't have to agree with me, but do you listen? So that's the picking of the mentee. And on my own, I wish I had more mentors. That would be, get them younger. I mean, the average age here is 11, so this is great. That's what it feels like at my age anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause for Neil Centurio.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Now, as you all can see, entrepreneurship is very important, right? Getting the right advice, the right mentors. Actually, these are my mentors all right in front here. But it was very interesting to hear a lot of questions from troops saying, hey, how do I start my business? I've been doing this job that I'm not really passionate about. Do I still continue that? The questions are endless, and I might have put Neil on the spot there to answer, the business plan. But I definitely want to reach out to each and every one of you guys. If you guys have any questions about business, be sure to email us at info@CleverTalks. We'll be able to provide you with a mentor, all free from our organization, to help with any entrepreneurial questions as well as any other inspirational questions. But moving on to our next speaker, though, you see, the funny story is our next speaker, I searched everywhere for her. I saw her novel. I went online. And here's the most ironic part. She lives actually in North Park. I'm like, I reach out to her publisher, HarperCollins, one of the best. I went on her website through another publicist, but she trains right across the street at Core Power Yoga, whether you believe that or not, So it was funny how we eventually connected, but we did not connect through yoga. We connected through her story as a warrior. I mean, this woman was a former Marine lieutenant, and I don't want to get that wrong. And when you see her and you hear her story, you'll feel her passion because she helps people realize their inner warrior. And I couldn't have found the most perfect speaker Please give a round of applause for Teresa Larson.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am literally an open book, as you can see here. Now, you're supposed to laugh when I tell a joke, okay? Yeah, that is a command. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is going to be a 15-minute talk. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on how I survived to be 35 years old. I grew up with two older brothers who were 6'8". My dad was 6'4", so I was the runt of the family. Survival was part of my growing up. 2-on-2 basketball was some serious business in my family. It was Sundays, usually family day, and 2-on-2 is my dad and I versus my brothers, and we usually got slammed. Had to eat my food very fast in order to get enough food. Learned how to climb ropes, do pull-ups, escape booby traps, all that kind of stuff growing up. Needless to say, I grew a very strong will growing up. Had to stick up for myself a lot. Being the only girl in a very testosterone-ridden family, I wanted to be equal. I didn't want my dad treating me differently. I wanted to mow the lawn and chop wood because I knew I would get crap from my brothers if I didn't. He gave in, of course. Even when I moved 3,000 miles away to go to college, dating, I wasn't allowed to date growing up, but finally when I went to college, dating was an option because there was no father around, but my dates were still somehow harassed. Word traveled fast, and I didn't date that many people for very long. But thankfully, I did date someone amazing and got married to him. Perry Larson is here. And he's been a rock for me for 3 years and counting. Married, anyway. But okay, so to get to the bread and butter of tonight's talk. Tonight is about surviving as a leader for the long haul. And this is some language some of you probably will relate to being in the military. It is easy to win a battle, and it is harder to occupy the territory for the long haul. In other words, focusing for a short period of time intensely is easy. It's easy like in business. It's easy to have a plan. It's easy to get excited. But what about the time it takes to put in the time to make that business happen? It doesn't happen overnight. Neither does building a good team. Neither does keeping yourself healthy. It takes conscious choices every day to keep yourself healthy. Having a family, keeping yourself healthy with your family. Set an example for your children. It takes a conscious daily effort. So the truth is, for me, to survive over the long haul as an effective leader, I've been through my ups and downs. My time as a captain of my softball team, time as my platoon commander of my Marine Corps platoon, I needed to learn how to care for myself. And that is not selfish. Taking care of yourself first, putting yourself first, means you'll be that much more of an effective leader. Now, I learned the hard way, though, with this. It didn't happen. I didn't realize that until I hit rock bottom. And that's why I have a memoir. Because I'm sharing that story, because I know I'm not alone. Raise your hand here if you have baggage. Yeah, okay, good, good, so do I. So I'm up here. Now, who's ever, did their parents or had a friend come over and all they talk about is the amount of pills they take, how much pain they're in, the guy that dumped them last month, or girl, or it's always something negative, right? So we all have something. Maybe it's an addiction we've had. Maybe it's a bad breakup. Maybe there's something there's this demon that we hold inside and we just want to talk to people about it. Well, that's okay, but there's another way of looking at your baggage, okay? You can look at it as something that pulls you down, or you can look at it as something that can build you up. Like the pain that you've been through, maybe the back injury that you had or the breakup you had. Why can't we look at that baggage as something to learn from? So the secret, kind of my secret weapon, is the fact that my baggage is my secret weapon. I don't let it get me down, and it gives me daily motivation to take care of myself so I can better lead a team and be up here talking to you guys and empowering others. It is a daily effort. So now I'm going to tell you a very uncomfortable and embarrassing story. Who wants to hear it? Okay, everybody likes uncomfortable and embarrassing stories. So, you know, I was buried alive growing up. My brothers did that. I peed range. Did that a few times, actually. Negative 16-degree weather, that might happen to you if you have a full bladder and you're laying down. I did swear on television and on the radio. Even in Iraq, when I was on convoys, I swore over the radio, and that's not really allowed. So I have quite the mouth. So if I drop a slip an F-bomb or something, for those of virgin ears, apologies. I've had many embarrassing moments, let's just say that. And I'm happy to be able to laugh at myself now. On a more serious note, I grew up thriving on winning, thriving on being perfect, looking perfect. I grew up defining myself by the accomplishments of being the best in my sport, being the fastest, being the most athletic, having the most newspaper articles written about her, eventually being the best Marine. I couldn't fail, and if I did, I would, well, I dieted all the time. I worked out consistently too much every day. And I was fearful of letting myself go. I was fearful of being weak. I was fearful of not being perfect. Who can relate to that? Who's ever wanted something bad enough where they were fear of losing, fear of being seen as weak, fear of failing? So I was more fearful of being weak or being seen as weak to my Marines or failing than I was of actually taking care of myself. I threw up 4 or 5 times a day. So I had bulimia. But I did not want to admit that I had a problem because it was an eating problem, right? Who cares? I didn't show up to work drunk. I didn't show up to work high. I showed up to work with a full belly, and then I'd throw it up. That's my embarrassing story. It is embarrassing. It's not easy to talk about, and it wasn't a vanity thing why I had it. Yeah, I wanted to look good. I wanted to compete, but I was more fearful. That's the way I coped with life, with stress, is I would go diet, or I would eat or not eat. I would throw it up, or I'd work out. It's my way of coping because I didn't want to fail. And so that eating disorder is called an addiction. It's similar to any other addiction. I'm not proud of that, but I'm proud of the way I handled it. So you see, I wanted to be seen as strong and competent to my Marines, and I was. I got the job done. I look the way I do now. No one could tell I had a problem. But on the inside, I was in my own personal prison. For those of you that know someone with an addiction or have had one or struggled with mental illness, probably can relate to that or see it. It's a personal prison. So here I am in Iraq, leading a Marine, 54, so I have about 54 Marines. I actually really loved my job. I love the Marines I worked with, minus a couple, of course. Pain in the ass. But so my job was doing landmine clearing because I was the tallest, biggest, badass female lieutenant on Fallujah, Camp Fallujah. I was asked to escort female terrorists, insurgents, back to their villages. So that was my night job, and during the day I would run convoys before women were even allowed, recognized as being in combat. And so I didn't have a desk job, so to speak. But here I am still throwing up 4 or 5 times a day. How do I do it? Oh, you figure it out, because that's your way of coping. You figure it out. And so my private time was in the bathroom when I did have private time. And I was struggling, but I could not let anyone see that. But during this time, the only person I'd really shared my story with was my dad. I was very close with him, and I could not help but call him and kind of share what I was struggling with. And this was one of the letters he wrote me. My dad, mind you, is a Catholic priest. So he's a Catholic priest, widower, second vocation. So he says, Dad is sitting here at his desk with an overwhelming pride for you, as well as a deep concern, almost worry. I'm proud that you are who you are, God's child, my child, who is doing her very best every day of her life. While you affect so many people with your stature and attitude, your life is a merry-go-round. If you want to stay mentally healthy, then get off and seek help now. The key ingredient is your willingness to get help. If you put it off, it will be a silent cancer that will kill you. So how's that for a letter from your dad? But it's true. It gave me perspective. After that, 2005 elections happened, returned after a 12-hour convoy, asked for help from my commander. I'm throwing up, sir. I don't love myself. How do you think that went down? Not so well. Hours later, I found myself voluntarily asked to be medevaced because I knew something was wrong, and I knew that I was going to hurt somebody had I stayed because I didn't have a desk job. So I asked to go home. So I'm sitting on the tarmac in a C-130 with people who have physical wounds, people who are killed. And here I am with an invisible wound. I felt worthless. But this worthlessness did get better. At the point I did ask for help and came home, which I did not want to do, because I always stuck to the end for everything, I started to, because I finally started to put myself first. I was damn good at taking care of other people, but not good at taking care of myself. So Warrior, my book, was born from this, kind of the lack of understanding, even in myself, what an eating disorder was, what an addiction was, how to overcome perfectionism. And I knew that society didn't understand it either. Because as on paper, before I deployment, I could do no wrong. Once I got home, rumors were spread about me being knocked up, didn't have a boyfriend, didn't touch anybody. It's what happens. When people don't know, they judge. And so I let that crush me for a short period of time, and then I didn't anymore. I made the choice to change it, to continue to get better, and to fight because people don't understand it. And so what I'm gonna do is dedicate my life, I decided to dedicate my life to being healthy, the most healthy I could be, and to educate people that everyone has human struggles. Everyone has a struggle, maybe even an invisible wound, and you can heal, and you have to block out the naysayers. So in conclusion, to survive as a leader, you must take care of yourself. I won the battle with bulimia. I was an effective leader. I admitted I wasn't 100%. If you knew your leader was sick, would you want them to admit they had a problem and get help? There was plenty of people that could have done my job as a platoon commander. Maybe not as well, maybe some better, but there's always someone. I'm happy that I was able to step off that highway of self-destruction. So I won that battle, and I'm continuing to win it every day by daily choice. Now as a doctor of physical therapy, a strength coach, a speaker for CrossFit, I run 2 businesses. I have to take care of myself. Running a team, I have to. What I'm thankful for is the fact that I'm making a decision to meditate daily, pray. Sometimes it's a little bit of both. Move. Tell myself positive thoughts. Hang out with people. I have the power to do that. So leadership for me, for leadership for everyone should start with yourself. Never give up. And you really do have to want it, because it's not going to happen. Someone can't tell you to get help. Someone can't tell you to be better. You have to want it. That's it.
Wow. Thank you. We want to ask you some questions.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Wasn't that amazing? I would like to open up to any questions for Teresa Larson while she's here. And she read from her book, which was amazing. And anybody here wants to ask her a question? Anybody on anything? Sure, Amelia.
So when you found out that you kind of had a hunch that you had bulimia, did
Yes.
any of your platoon, did they kind of see and kind of like see what was happening to your body, you know, even though you would go away to, you know, regurgitate and everything, you know, did they kind of have a hunch that
No.
something was going on? No.
Nobody, I mean, you're in the, so my body didn't change too much. Obviously, there are signs, I mean, eyes, throat, all those things, but my body weight didn't change too much. So no one knew. Yeah. I was pretty good at covering it up too. It's one of those addictions that I mean, especially bulimia, even binge eating disorder, or not other eating disorders, not otherwise specified, are a little bit easier to cover up. Yeah.
Wow. Any other questions? Another question? Oh, sure. Katie?
How briefly does being a warrior relate to asking for help?
How does it relate?
Yeah.
It's a good question. So why the name warrior? Well, I think for me, the definition of a warrior is someone who is willing to stick up for themselves, to put themselves first, to take care of themselves so they can better take care of others, even if that means asking for help. So this cover is badass. Like the story, like my life, I've had some great accomplishments, but that's not what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the fact that I was willing to be vulnerable and finally choose to get rid of those inner demons that kind of just suck the soul out of you. That's what I think makes you a warrior.
Yes. Question over here.
So that's a good question too. 3 years ago, I was giving a talk at the National Eating Disorder Association. They asked me to come and present on my experience in the military, which was a good one for the most part, right? I struggled internally, but I had a good experience overall. And there was a ghostwriter in the audience, Alan Eisenstock, who listened to me talk, and he was like, we really got to put this in a book. And so the fact that I interviewed him for probably close to 6 months, because I was like, all right, who is this short guy from LA? You know, he was a really nice guy, but I had to get to know him if he was going to write this story and what his reasoning behind it was. And it gave me the ability to write it with him because I wasn't doing it alone, which was really nice. So with his help, because I obviously am fairly busy with 2 businesses and other things I'm doing, it was very helpful to work with him. And I also knew that, so I didn't, have this thought in my head when I started writing it, but it was very therapeutic for me. Putting it on paper and putting it down honestly and very raw and real, like really helped me heal. So I actually let a lot of things go. Some of these negative thoughts I was holding in and I didn't even realize go with this book, which was really nice. So
I think we have time for one more question. We got one right here.
So the 2 businesses, one is a physical therapy company locally called Movement RX. And we treat people locally. So we do physical therapy and human performance. So whether you like to do yoga, CrossFit, golf, we like people who want to be active, right? That movement is life. So it's fun. I have 2 other PTs that work with me who are amazing. And the other one is the Low Back Fix. So it's an online program that has integrated my work with downregulation work, so desensitizing the nervous system with people who have been in pain for a really long time, and strength and conditioning. And it gives you an online program that helps you progressively get out of your back pain. So I essentially, as a PT, you guys, like I've experienced being injured myself, and it's like, where do you go? Who do you go see? And you got chiropractic, physios, MDs, acupuncturists. Well, who's going to help me move better? Oftentimes with insurance-based, or insurance-based practices, it's hard because they only have so much time. So I was like, screw that, doing my own thing. I'm going to help people the way they deserve to be helped, which is giving them specific rehab programs plus programs that keep them healthy in their sport. So get tired of people not getting the whole answer in the medical world. Yeah.
And one last quick question. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. My father. He was my light at the time. So my father was obviously a Catholic priest, but he was the one person who got me at the time. And he just was someone I could confide in. He didn't understand what was going on, but he was willing to listen to me, hear me cry, and give me perspective. He didn't shun me, which was he was very patient with me. And he gave me hope. And one of the reasons why I made the decision to go home versus stay is, right, I was in a job that was very serious, but he was like, he'd lost his wife. He'd already been through a lot in his life, and I was hurting him just as much as I was hurting myself. And that's what happens when you have an addiction. You hurt others too. It's not just you. And I didn't want to keep hurting him, but he was a light for me. Yeah.
We all need that light, and let's give her one more round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Wow. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a lot from just these two talks that I want to extend it to you all to look at who's beside you. And let's take 5 minutes right now just to chat to the person next to you and share what did you take away. Let's take 5 minutes right now, guys. Let's fade up the music, Ryan, and let's all just chat with each other for 5 minutes, guys. Take 5 minute intermission. All right, all right. That 60 more seconds, 60 more seconds. Let's all get back to our seats. Maybe when we're All right, we're gonna pick back up. I hope that everybody was able to make good connections. Oh, everybody's still talking. They love meeting each other. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna start again. Can I have everybody's attention? I'm glad everyone's connecting. See, there's a lot of smiles going on. That's really good. People in the back, how y'all feeling? Let me hear you. All right, everybody, let me hear some more energy here. All right. I know these topics can get pretty heavy, but they're also very deep inside inspiration. So I hope everybody's finding something, a little tidbit from a speaker or someone that they see themselves as. But this next speaker is someone that he pretty much is pretty extreme. And I mean that in a good way. He helps transitioning vets, those that are suffering with PTSD, with what he calls adventure therapy. So, I mean, if you're scared of heights, this guy would take you in a helicopter and show you how to skydive. If you're scared to swim, he'll take you deep sea diving. I mean, he's that involved with helping the troops. And the name of his nonprofit is Mission Volant. But more importantly, he's still active duty. So he's doing this while balancing his life, while balancing his nonprofit. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Robbie Hill.
Thanks. Yeah, more. It's good. All right, we're gonna do a little marketing here. These are for you. Please pass those out. And these are on this side. Good. Thanks. All right. Yep. So my name is Robbie. I'm the director and founder of Mission Volant. Volant being French for flight. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's just an excuse to jump out of planes. So no. But first, it's kind of informal, but clap it up for yourselves for being here. Good job. Thanks for being here. All right. So before I really dive into what Mission Volant is and what we do, I want to talk about legacy. You know, a lot of us focus a lot on our jobs, and we toil away at work, and especially in the Marine Corps. I'm active duty Marines, especially in the Marine Corps. I fly on helicopters with the Marine Corps. There's this big tendency to think like what you do at work really matters. And it's true to a degree. You help, you know, enable the mission, complete the mission, and you drive the mission forward. However, it only goes so far. You know, and a lot of people neglect their family life, and they neglect their personal drive forward, and that seems to be a big thing. And we want to kind of solve that problem. So Mission of Launch really helps enable the reality of what we do after our military service as well. So legacy is really important because when we leave this world, people are not going to remember like how many hours did he fly on the airplane. They're going to remember, hey, what did the guy or girl accomplish outside of there? What kind of cool stuff did they do? How were they with their family? What did they teach a little boy and girl? And if we're at fucking work all the time, we can't do that, can we? So I think there's a delicate balance to that. And I think there's a lot to be said for what you do outside of your work environment that's really special. So what is Mission Volant? Mission Volant is a program that inspires, trains, and equips military veterans with an adventurous skill set to use after the military service. Well, that sounds cool, right? But what is it really? We take veterans and we push them outside their boundary. A lot of guys spend a particular long time at work, like we were talking about. They don't get to do anything else except for go to work and go home, go to work, go home. So what's at the end of the day? You're left with your spouse with an hour, maybe your child with 30 minutes to see your daughter or your son at the end of the day. So we again want to change that reality itself. Sorry, my iPad's going off. Thanks, Aiden. So, sorry, Siri. I don't need you right now. So with that inspiring, training, and equipping, Mission Volant provides the tools for you to do these adventurous skill sets. We show you how to do it, and then we take you out. We take you out and actually do it. So anyway, I know that all that's sort of ambiguous, but getting down to the nitty gritty, we offer skydiving services, hiking, climbing, scuba diving, surfing, and paddling. These are all skill sets that are obviously outdoors, but they're all stuff to challenge you in a way that gets you outside your comfort zone. So me particularly, I am a skydiving instructor, but I'm deathly afraid of heights. And that's why I started skydiving. But I know I'm not the only one. A majority of guys who come to us, or guys and girls who come to us, are scared of heights as well. But we use that fear to get them outside the plane. We use it to spur them on to do more difficult things. Particularly, we focus on guys with PTSD and with physical limitation injuries, meaning prosthetics. Actually, just 3 days ago, we took a gentleman out of Utah. We traveled to Utah, and we took him. He has no legs, and he has no right side of his hip. And we still were able to teach him the very fundamental basics of skydiving. So for that, obviously, he was very driven to do that, but he was very passionate about learning something else, and that feeds off us. We feed off that as well. So we started as a attempt to break. Mission Volant started as an attempt to break some world records. So I'm a wingsuit pilot. You guys seen the squirrel suits? Those things are hanging out front, out there. I fly those professionally. So about a year and a half ago, I'd say, you know what? I'm going to break some records. So right now the record is like 38,000 feet. I'm going to do it. It's great. And by the way, that's higher than most airlines travel at, if you can picture that. So it's really cold up there. It's negative 60 Celsius. So when you breathe out, the air freezes immediately. You can see it. So if you check out our Vimeo and our YouTube pages, you can just see some video of me, and you see the air coming out and it freezing immediately. So these records I decided to do them because they were challenging. I was like, okay, this is great. The more training I did, I started to discover not only this is hard, but this is really fucking hard. So I need some more training. But the more I dove into it, the more I realized that we can do more good by just me breaking records. I can help other people be inspired to do more difficult things themselves, which is clearly, obviously, more important. So I put my reasoning for these records off to the side, saying, I'll get these records later. Let's use the same theory that I use for breaking these records and use it for the public good. So we decided, we made a transformation there and said, okay, we're no longer going to break these records. We're going to drive forward and establish services for people to break their own records and their own difficulties, and put their own difficulties ahead of themselves to break them and move forward themselves. How am I doing at time, by the way? How many minutes I got? Yeah, so good. Awesome. Okay. So we decided to move forward and said, okay, I'm going to establish these programs and drive forward and say we're going to offer these services. But the difference between us and most other services these days, there's a tendency to take veterans on. I'm breaking up here. Sorry. There's a tendency to take veterans on outdoor expeditions or hunting trips or let's go drive a race car or something. And don't get me wrong, I think that's fantastic, but it doesn't solve any problems at all. It makes you feel good for 5 seconds and that's it. It doesn't offer you a skill set to use for the rest of your life. So that's what we decided to solve. So say, okay, we're going to offer something that you can use for the rest of your life. We could train you. And the difference between us and most other organizations is not only do we inspire you to do it, you train you to do it, we also give you the tools to do it yourself. I mean, if you want to learn to skydive, you leave us with a skydive rig and a skydive license so you can jump wherever you want. Same thing with surfing, stand-up paddling, climbing, etc. So that's what we do. Separately, these days, there tends to be I'm sorry, this is breaking up here. There tends to be a drive towards feeling sorry for veterans. And if this pisses you off, I'm sorry, but I'm not. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Thanks.
Is this better? Cool. There tends to be a tendency to feel sorry for veterans, like so almost like a Sarah McLachlan SPCA commercial, you know, like for only $1 a day, you can sponsor a veteran. And I'm really not down for that. And frankly, it makes me very upset because America's veterans are not only some of the most patriotic people, but we're some of the most well-trained people in the world. We're disciplined, we're punctual, we know what the hell's going on, we know how to do it, and more so, we know how to lead other individuals doing the same thing. So why, when we get out of the military, do we tend to treat veterans like, this guy is so messed up, let's feel sorry for them? And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of veterans who are messed up, not just physically, but mentally and with other things. That doesn't mean we need to feel sorry to a degree. It means we need to support them, okay? So there is a community out there where, you know, there's sort of like, thank you for your service, or hey, thank you for your service, you know, and you got to choose which side of the line you want to be on. So Mission Milan itself, we draw a firm line in the sand. We don't pity anyone, and it doesn't mean we don't need to care for them. But I think you all understand what I'm saying is that we admire people for their service and their sacrifice, but we also enable them, okay, instead of feel sorry for them. So if that makes you upset, I'm sorry, but it's the truth, okay? So we don't do the Sarah McLachlan thing and sponsor a veteran for a day. So so moving on, what we do, I've already told you what we do. How we do it is this: we find veterans or they contact us who want to learn a different skill set. We find out what they're good at. We find out their physical limitation capabilities, if they have any, and then we drive forward from there. So if they want to learn to, let's say, skydive or climb, we take them first to an indoor skydiving wind tunnel, and we spend hours in there. Most of our guys and girls who want to learn to skydive have one leg or no legs or one arm. So we spend hours in the wind tunnel with them, teaching them how to stabilize themselves. And by the way, an hour in the wind tunnel is like $900. So you can see where all of our money goes. It's to training these people how to do these things. So we spend 3 to 4 hours in the wind tunnel with them, learning to get them stable. We get them custom suit made. We get them custom skydive rig made, and then we hit the sky from there. And it's about a 3 to 4 week process to get them from nothing to fully licensed. But then they leave us with themselves fully equipped and trained and a skydive license, and then go back to wherever they're from, and then they're good. So this year, we started about 9 months ago. So far, we have achieved some radical things. The IRS is brilliant in allowing people to get their 501c3 number, so we're still dealing with that. But internally, we've established 7 programs, and they're fully operational, and you can check that out at missionmilan.org. And we've also shown our capability through 4 different veterans so far, including our one last week who we taught the skydive. So my last thing before I open up for questions from there is how can you help? So really, with almost every nonprofit, financial capability is a huge one, okay? But I'm not here to solicit your money. I'm here to ask you to spread the message. So we do awesome stuff. I like to say awesome shit, but trying to curse so much. But we do awesome stuff. And if you know any veterans who are willing, who want to be involved with that to make their lives better, please spread the message about what we do. And we believe in the long run that the financials will take care of themselves based upon our performance, what we do for veterans. So,
Round of applause. Got your hands full there. Awesome. I remember meeting with Robbie, and he was like, are you scared of heights yourself? And I was like, yes, I am. He's like, we're going to teach you to skydive right after the conference. So I'm like, I don't want to do this, but he's pushing. So I think it'll be an interesting video. So, but I want to open it up to questions for Robbie while he's here, and he's doing a lot of great things. Sure. What is your question?
Do you guys need Corpsman coverages?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You need Corpsman coverages.
I'm sorry, I'm a little hard of hearing.
You need Corpsman coverages.
Corpsman coverage for medical? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. We actually we have some really good sponsors for medical gear, but we do have a volunteer page that you can throw your information on, and on that says, hey, what capabilities can you offer us? Throw all that on there, and we'll get back to you on that. So I appreciate that. Thank you. That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
People
because
are
I'm really
supporting.
stupid and I fall a lot. So yeah, that's good. Yeah.
People are supporting already. See, look at
Yeah,
that. That's great. Any other questions? We got a question over there. Oh, thank you, Zach. He's got your mic right there.
I know soldiers have life commitment to their service. Is this something do a lifetime commitment to the world? Is this a lifetime job commitment to the veterans?
Is this my commitment?
No, it's a lifelong commitment. Like you're in the military for years, you don't want to leave. Are you taking them up and to through life for a lifetime or just for a short day?
Oh, great question. Thank you. Yes. So we don't advertise that yet, but anyone who finishes our capabilities or our service that we offer and they graduate as a certified climber, skydiver, or paraglider, whatever it is, they're more than welcome to come back whenever they want. Because we do this stuff habitually on a monthly basis. So we would love for them to come back and join us to gain more skill or to be a part of the community. We just don't definitely ship them away and say, "Be gone with you." We want them to come back and experience more. Yeah.
Awesome. Good question. Anybody else? Okay.
Just one.
Oh, you don't. Let's go ahead.
Absolutely. Thanks. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah. So most of our volunteer capabilities will rely on local events, meaning, okay, we're going to do a Mission Volant 5-mile run or 5K. That sort of stuff would be where our volunteer capabilities come in. But as we grow, we will need in-office volunteer capabilities, probably accountant capabilities, et cetera. So there's absolutely, just like any other nonprofit, there'll be a plethora of opportunities that we'll absolutely need and we'll probably be begging people for at that point. And right now, our point is to serve the veterans, to get out and show them what we can do, like we did last week, a couple days ago. So
Nice. And question in the back. Okay. You might have to scream it. Oh, hold on. Zach's got a mic for you.
Thank you. Other than financial donations, how can people here help you the most in achieving your goals?
that's a great question. So our goal really is, I mean, right now we have 5 to 6 veterans who are waiting on our services. They're on our list. We know what they're going to do. We've interviewed them already. We've actually sized them up for equipment. But right now our capability stops at our bank account essentially. So it costs anywhere from $18,000 to $20,000 just to get a skydiver from nothing to fully licensed. So you're talking tunnel time, a custom $8,000 rig, traveling expenses, et cetera. So it's worth it, absolutely, but it's totally, it's a very expensive operation. So what we do in the meantime is, it's up on our website. We don't have pictures yet, but we're getting it. But we sell our apparel. That helps out a lot. And obviously individual donations help out significantly towards that. So neither myself or any of my staff take a paycheck. So all of that money goes directly to, and we're fully transparent, obviously, as a nonprofit with our financials too.
Awesome. Any other questions? Oh, back. Okay, go ahead. One more.
Other than yourself, is there anybody else that you know of in the country that's doing what you're doing?
Yes, to a degree. Where we separate, yes, there's another organization in Arizona that targets skydiving. Where they stop themselves is they offer skydiving alone. And we think that's fantastic, but they're not military. They're civilian people who decide to do this, and I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. However, when you get down below the skin, it's hard to connect with military if you're not military. But not only do we offer that skydiving services in the service, excuse me, but we offer 6 other capabilities that fully encompass the outdoor adventurous skill set other than skydiving, paragliding, surfing, stand-up paddling, etc. So we try to round ourselves as much as possible. All of our staff are completely certified in these through different organizations and these different activities. So yeah, we have a professional climber too from Canada. Hey, it's good. Yeah,
I like the A. I think they got that. All right. One more question before our next speaker comes up. Anybody else? Okay, back in the back.
So how'd you get this like venture to become an actual like nonprofit? When was the point where you actually said, I'm going to make this a nonprofit and offer it to other people? Like where was that point?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was going after these wingsuit world records, through the difficulty of it, I realized that we can do more good by offering as a public service than just, hey, Robbie Hill's going to go smash some records and be awesome for a week. So I was like, okay, this can be a lifetime opportunity where I can do amazing things for other people. And I know our time's up, but I was in Afghanistan. I only did one time there, but I was in Afghanistan and we were watching someone at the hospital, and this guy, who's ever had like tunnel vision where your vision like blooms into black, right? And you can just see one thing. I saw across the hospital, this guy, he reached his hand out to his buddy, and they had both been blown up by IED, and he grabbed his other buddy's hand. I saw that connection. That's always stuck with me for years, of that connection. And I've never had it in the military because of my environment, the aviation community. It's all about the flight schedule and the mission. Be like, oh, get the plane up right now. We don't get that opportunity to be that close with our brothers and sisters. So I saw that, and I was really grateful to have seen that, and it's always stuck with me. So that's when I made that transition to say, okay, the records are great, but it's for another time, and it's time to do something that'll last a lifetime. So that's wherever you went.
Great question.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess we'll throw out one last one.
Bueller.
I guess.
Bueller.
Yes. One last one. Go ahead.
You mentioned that from the position of training, it's easier to connect as a military person with people that have been in the military. For those of us that have not been in the military, what are some good connection points?
Can you say that one more time? I'm like seriously hard of hearing.
It's a bit loud out here.
Curious about, you said training from a military person type
Absolutely.
person to another military type person, that connection is a little easier bond. And I'm curious, for those of us that aren't in the military, what are some good just ways to connect and be around or be of help or add value?
Absolutely. That's a great question. You know, I think this type of environment, this is great. I mean, and let me clarify that, is that when you're teaching someone who's in the military, it's easier if you have been in the military because you sort of speak the language, you know. It's like being in San Diego. You should probably learn to speak Spanish, you know, that sort of thing. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing going across, is that we just naturally have an understanding of like the daily grind, you know? So, and again, let's not feel sorry for veterans. Like, we chose this life. This is what we do. This is our job. There's no reason to feel sorry for veterans whatsoever. However, it's a staple to be like, okay, I can say, I know I speak your language. Like, hey, bro, you and I were in the Marines for 8 years together. We know the same crap. You know, it's the same thing. But on a daily basis, some ways to connect to them, I would really candidly say be yourself, because veterans just want to be themselves too. You know, when they get out of the military, like, you ever notice like a lot of people get out of the military automatically, they grow like Chewbacca hair on their beard, because they don't shave. You know, they just want to be normal people. Yeah, they just want to be normal people, right? Who's got out of the military and didn't shave? Like,
we got
yeah,
some Chewbaccas
exactly.
back here
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, because they just want to be normal people, right? So the same thing goes for theirs, that these people just want to be normal. Be yourself. They want to get to know you, not some facade you're putting on to try to get along with them or correlate them. They just want to be themselves. So to answer your question, be yourself and allow them to be themselves, and I think the connection will come naturally. So
Right, and to chime in with that, you know how we met. You know, we pretty much met at a coffee shop, James Coffee, and ironically, we're wearing the same watch. So you know, I see this guy. You know, I'm with my team. We're planning for this conference. I didn't. This is impromptu here, and so I see his watch, and I'm like, that's a cool watch. And I'm like, oh man, we got the same watch. That's why it's a cool watch. And so I'm like, all right, should I go up to this guy? Oh, dude, this guy looks like he's in the military. He's probably gonna make fun of me for approaching him. So I pretty much said, hey man, you got a really nice watch. I just want to say that. And he took it off and he gave it to me. I was like, oh, I don't want to keep this. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And he was like, hey man, no, try it on. I was looking at it. And I was like, man, are you in the military? It was obvious, right? He looks like he's in the military. And he's like, yes, man. He's like, what do you do? And from there, to kind of chime in with your question, just being your authentic self when, you know, they're just like us. So, you know, I'm a civilian. He's not an entrepreneur, excuse me. He is a military troop. So, you know, being yourself really will allow you to bridge that gap. And I guess we got a question here. Sure, what's up? No, I actually kept it. No, I'm kidding. No, I did give it back to him, and we exchanged emails after that, and that was just like 2 months ago. So now we're here. So crazy who you'll meet at a coffee shop, right? But last round of applause for Robbie Hill, ladies and gentlemen.
Could I ask one more thing? Do you mind?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. No, thank you. Again, I'm not here to solicit your money, but I am here to solicit your time and your energy. If you feel obligated to support Mission Volant, don't give us your money at first. Just check out what we do, you know. And I think that it'll come naturally to us at that point. But check out our website at missionvolant.org. I think you all have cards by now. So, guerrilla marketing, it's great. So, but yeah, check out what we do, and if you feel led, go from there. But yeah, cool,
awesome. All right, no problem. We're down to our last two speakers. Oh man, that was great. See, we got to see a little bit of naturalness from me and Robbie there, right? See, there is no secret sauce to where I find these speakers, all right? I'm at a coffee shop, I'm at somewhere, and I just connect with these troops. You know, we're in San Diego. So I'd like to encourage everyone here, you know, next time you're at the grocery store and you see a military guy, you know, give him a, hey, what's up? How you doing? You know, give him a, you know, a handshake or something. So I guess it's kind of louder here. Guys, if we keep it down a bit, we're going to go to our last speaker. Actually, second to last. We got a surprise for you. But if we could tone it down a notch, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I like that. Okay, respect it. See, that's how close we got now. We could shh each other and not get offended. You know, that's good. So as our next speaker is getting mic'd up, it's very cool that I got to meet someone who said, you know what? You got this thing called Clever Talks. I would like to take you to my manufacturing facility. I think it's the only one in the nation, actually, where we actually help transitioning veterans get advanced manufacturing jobs. Like this guy took me to the plant, let me walk around. I put on the hard hat. I meet everyone, and I'm like looking at this welder. I'm going in this thing. He's like, if you touch your hand in that, your hand will disintegrate in like 3 seconds. And I'm like, okay, I won't dip my hand in there. Like, you know, it was really cool to take a tour of his workshop, and it's right by the military base. So it's like, I think my job is one of the coolest because I go on these. I mean, he's going to take me skydiving. I'm going to get my hand disintegrated. You know, it's an adventure myself. So I've been really fortunate to survive, ironically, with the theme. So for our next speaker, I don't want to say his name wrong, but his name is Hernan Luis y Prado. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Chris and Hillary, and thank you everyone here for being here. I really appreciate it. My name is Hernan Luis y Prado. I'm a Navy combat veteran, 15 years with tours of duty in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I love the Navy. I really do, and I did. But I left because I was tired of seeing more of my friends die of drugs and suicide in San Diego than of bombs and bullets in Baghdad. And I was going to change that. And that was tough for me because I didn't really understand how I was going to, and it was a big issue. But I wanted to share with all of you here kind of like our journey of how we created Workshops for Warriors, which is the only accredited school in the nation that trains, certifies, and places veterans, wounded warriors, and transitioning service members into advanced manufacturing careers. So first of all, does anyone here serve in the military? If you could put your hands up, please. Good, awesome. Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coasties. We love you, Coasties. We know we do. Army. I will speak very slowly. And it's not funny. It's not funny. And use small words for you. Okay. So I'm very fortunate that I am married to the most beautiful nerd I know, my wife, Rachel. And that's important because if you are an officer, right, we're really used to seeing the whole world in a very different aspect, right? You're looking at things and very operational. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? But you're kind of lockstep. You're in this fabric. And, you know, I came back from my first combat tour after Iraq, and I was seeing notionally, right, that I saw people injured and I saw them out there, but it wasn't affecting me. I just saw people out there. And one day I was in a mall with my wife, and this guy, John, who had been enlisted with me over in 29 Palms. If you've ever been there, great place to get a suntan. If you've ever been there, it's awesome. But so John and I had just seen each other in Iraq just a couple months beforehand. And here we are in this little mall. I think we're in front of like FAO Shorts or something completely, just common, right? And my wife and I are there, and this guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, Doc," right? When I was enlisted, I was a corpsman. So, "Hey, Doc, how are you doing?" I said, "Well, great." He goes, "Well, great to see you." He goes, "Hey, could you be my best man at my wedding this Friday?" And I'm thinking, I was like, we had talked about this, and it wasn't going to be this week, and I knew it was going to be like next year that they're going to get married. So I didn't want to say anything because his fiance was right there. I said, "Yeah, sure, of course, I'll be your best man." And then I said, "Well, get up, man, give me a hug." And he goes, "Well, I can't, Doc." I said, "Why?" He goes, "I lost my legs." I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And I looked down, and I noticed he was in a wheelchair. And I mean, I had noticed he was in a wheelchair before, but it hadn't, I just thought, he had injured his ankle or, something like that. But it hit me. Like, he didn't have his legs anymore. And this is a guy that, like, I knew him. Like, this guy meant something to me. This is a guy that I went to captain's call for because I wrestled him to the ground once to put sunblock on his face because I was tired of carrying his weapons whenever he fell out of a march, right? And so this guy didn't have legs anymore. And I could just see, you ever had those moments when you're looking at a movie and you like see like 10 years of history fly by? I was seeing all of these things that he wanted to do, all the things that were important in his life, and I saw them all evaporating. I saw them not be possible anymore. And the one thing that he had lived for, which was the Marine Corps, wasn't going to keep him around. And it hit me so deeply. And for those of you that are in the military, you make fun of guys like that are crying at the mall, but I was floored. And I kind of gathered myself and I said, "Of course, John, of course I'll be there." And he wheeled around and left. And in my mind's eye, I was thinking, here I am, tough guy, combat veteran, catching prisoners of war. And I sank to the ground and grabbed onto my wife's elbow and said, "We are going to sell everything that we have, and we're going to create an advanced training center so that guys like John have a viable future." And my wife, to her eternal credit, said, "Of course." Thank you, Rachel. So, and I've been so lucky because Rachel has, I've been surrounded by a lot of people. One of the key things that Rachel taught me as a survey methodologist and statistician and nerd par excellence is what is it? Like, figure out the program and the problem, right? And the military teaches you, right? Orient, observe, right? Detect, and then make a decision and act on it. And it was this like mingling of two worlds, right? The fuzzy, bunny, hippie world and then the military world, which made me think, know what you know what you don't know, and know that what you know may be wrong, and then figure out what the situation is. And the first thing is, why were veterans killing themselves? And after a lot of research, it was that they had just lost focus and income, purpose, direction, and hope. And we don't realize that, but when you're in the military, we're in this fabric, this big tapestry, and you know who's ahead of you, you know who's behind you, you know who's your peer, and your bosses are expecting something from you, and the people that report to you, you're demanding things from there, and your peers, you know, they kind of help you out, but you're in this fabric and you're moving together in this beautiful tapestry, which was the U.S. military, even the Army. And but then all of a sudden you get plucked out. They say, hey, thank you for serving, get out. And it doesn't, I know that doesn't say, they don't say that, but that's how you feel, because you can't go to the Navy Exchange, you can't go to the lodge, your ID card doesn't work anymore, you're not in uniform, you don't wake up every morning to put a uniform on to feel like you're serving. And that loss of ego and, what was it? An identity is something that's staggeringly difficult to accept. And so the first thing was, why is this happening? And we realized that. The second one was, you know, I'd go to a hospital and one of my friends would say, hey, doc, how you doing? And so this is my story with Rachel's. After that time, and we just had a couple people over my house, and, you know, Marines are Marines, right? So it's not like they're going to sit there and be like, you know, I feel today a little bit shy, that I don't know what it is. It's like I just don't know where to be. And, you know, I just don't really know how to express myself, you know? That's not these guys. They'll be like, where's the garage? All right, got to be here. All right. And then they'd go off into the garage. And then after a while, we'd be like, hey, how are you feeling? And they're like, you know, I'm all right. And then 8 or 9 beers later, you know, they'd say, hey, you know, I don't really know what I'm going to do later. Like, I don't know how to look at my 22-year-old wife and tell her that I don't have a job in 6 months, right? And so it hit me. What can we do to transition people that are super competent, committed, dedicated, and give them something that gives you a lifelong career, that gives you a dignified life, a dignified career with a potential for career accession? And it hit me. As my old boss, Admiral Arthur, so Admiral Don Arthur, if you're out there, thank you very much. I appreciate your guidance on this, but he would say, you can't have all these vets in your place. You can't be a VFW with power tools. And at the time I was like, well, you're right. But and that it made me really focus what I wanted to do in a very clear fashion. And instead of saying, you know, air quotes, I'm going to help vets, or I'm going to support vets, that didn't mean anything to me, partly because my beautiful wife is a statistician. She's like, okay, so there's a little box that says yes and another box that says no. So what do you want to say about what you do for veterans? Helping is not one of them. How do you define help? What are the metrics in there? And we decided we're going to create a metric-driven, data-driven organization that knows what success looks like and shoots for that every day, relentlessly and intelligently. And we created workshops for warriors. We train veterans, wounded warriors, and transitioning service members into advanced manufacturing careers in computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, machining, welding, fabrication, and machinery repair. We're the SEAL team of manufacturing, if you will. And the funny thing is, it's a disruptive technology and disruptive school, because what we're doing is we're replacing 30 to 50 different union jobs, or unionized jobs, if you will, and making one guy or gal that can go from art to part in 4 months with credentials that are internationally recognized, portable, and stackable. And that gives them an opportunity to enter a job at $18 an hour and then build from there for life, with a passport to financial freedom that no one can take away from them. That's what we're doing in a very clear, measurable way. The students come through our school and they're not focused, they don't have to worry about, we're going to survive, or we're going to do this. They know that if they toe the line, if they come together, they come inside, and we all march forward together, that they're going to graduate, get nationally recognized credentials, and get a job. That's on the local level. But most importantly, what we're thinking about is right now we have this tide of over 1 million service members leaving the service in the next 5 years. America has a need for 2.4 million jobs. 2.4 million jobs in America are going unfilled due to lack of skilled labor right now. So if you think about that, this for me was like a perfect storm where we have 1 million veterans transitioning out. We need 2.4 million advanced manufacturers. And the median age of America's advanced manufacturing employee is 62 years old. 62. So in 15 years, who's going to build our ships, our aircraft, our bridges? That guy's iPad, right? Who's going to do it? Most importantly, if we go to war in 5 years and ceilings are cut, how are we going to rebuild our nation? This is how. We're creating America's advanced manufacturing army. I hate using that term, but one vet at a time. And these people here are going to go out and train other people to become advanced manufacturing warfighters. And they're going to train others. And we're going to take back America's role as the world's manufacturing superpower. And we're going to regain our role as the world's economic superpower in an environmentally friendly fashion. Hi. Thank you. My vision is that 100 years from today, people will look back and they'll see San Diego and Workshops for Warriors, and hopefully people that they trained. And they're going to see that Workshops for Warriors was the birthing or the birthplace of America's green manufacturing renaissance. And it started right here. But most importantly, it started because I had an idea and I felt like I was out in the desert with a 200-pound bag and I was lugging it along. And all of a sudden, my wife Rachel showed up. She grabbed the other handle. She lifted it up, looked at me, and we started moving forward. And then Amanda Brooks, now Barber, who's on our board of directors, grabbed the other handle, and Ethan Weinstein grabbed another handle. And they didn't question me, they didn't poo-poo me, they moved forward with me, and we kept accelerating. And since then, we've had an incredible array of intelligent, competent, passionate people that have shared their time and energy with me and have been patient with me when I've failed, which has been many times. And now, every day, I look left, I look to my right, and I look behind me, and I can see a multitude of people that have joined us, and I can feel the earth trembling with the sound of us marching in unison towards a more constructive and better America and world. Thank you very much.
Wow. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. I see people smiling. I see people tearing up. And I see your wife tearing. I don't want to put her on blast here, but that's very, very touching story. And I want to open it up for questions here. Does anybody have any questions for Hernan? Sure, right here in the front.
Are there particular industry sectors that you target, like medical being the #1 industry in the country, which has tons of manufacturing, and a lot of the medical companies have hired tons of military people?
I completely agree. So let me kind of reframe the argument for you a little bit so we all understand. I call it the double funnel. So on one side, we have over 550 people that are waiting on the waiting list to enter our school. On the other side, we have over 2,500 jobs for every one of our graduates. But we can only fund 50 people every 4 months. 50. Right now, we have more active duty personnel assigned to our school than any other school in the nation. No cost TD orders. We're not funded by local, state, or federal agencies. They're purely individual or organizations that support us. That's it. And it's almost every industry that needs our people, if that helps.
There is a need. And I believe President Obama has asked you something personally, right? But
I've been asked to start 103 schools just like that throughout the U.S. Well, don't wow me until you give me money.
Isn't that amazing, right?
So, that's Mr.
Wow. President Obama doesn't call me up, so that's amazing that he calls you up. So, man. Any other questions for Hernan? I want to open up for two more. And sure, we got one back there. We'll take this.
So how are you going to build those 103? Is that what you said? How are you going to do that?
Brick by brick.
Nice.
So we just got the largest grant by San Diego to build a building, actually. So we're building the world's largest advanced manufacturing training facility for veterans and wounded warriors right here in San Diego on Main Street. And our first new building will be up in less than 12 months. And then we're doing a $15 million capital campaign to build 5 additional buildings to raise our throughput from 150 graduates per year to 1,000 graduates per year. And San Diego will be our premier training facility for a train the trainer program so that we can actually start all the other locations.
I'm hearing a lot of wows. And go ahead, right there, your question.
Quick couple questions for you, actually, twofold. First, how long have you guys been a formal organization?
So I founded Workshops for Warriors in 2008. In fact, Amanda Barber is part of the founding board of directors. Ethan Weinstein is another one. We have 7 board members total, but in 2008. So we've been doing this for a couple of years.
And how do we all get a hold of you guys or find out more?
So go to wfwusa.org. So wfwusa.org or Google Workshops for Warriors.
I see iPhones coming out, notes being taken. So.
All right, and one last question. Go ahead. Or I guess we got 2, so we'll try to one right. Or where's the mics going? Okay, one right here. We got one guy running around. Give it up for Zach, running around, making it happen. He was over here, now he's over there. You're teleporting. That's awesome. Go ahead.
So how can local small businesses support you?
Great question. So there's my mentor. I've been really, really fortunate. I have a lot of great people in my life. But Dick Eager, if you're out there, thank you so much for everything you do for me and for us. But Dick always says, all of us are smarter and better than one of us. So if we all contribute, if you can all consider donating what you can per month, if that's $20, $50, $100, every month, that makes a tremendous, tremendous impact. We have 50 students going through our class right now. Each one of them costs $12,000 to put through a school for 4 months. But at the end, they get anywhere from 7 to 12 nationally recognized credentials. If you could potentially put up a sign for Workshops for Warriors, whatever you can donate per month is incredibly helpful. And if you go online, you'll see that 87% of your money goes straight to training programs since 2011. 87%, and our audited financials are right online.
Nice. And the last question of the night for you, Hernan, is gentleman back there.
You mentioned failing a couple of times, which many successful and great Americans have. Was there anything during that time after you failed that helped you motivate and get to running smooth with the next chapter of what you were doing?
Yes, actually, there's a great story of this gal, Angie, and we're at a point where we could actually fund 5 students every semester, and we were doing 7, which was a big push for us. And this gal, Angie, came into my life. She's an Army veteran. So despite that, we took her in because we always have one Army person in our class, right? We have an Army of 1 in every class. Go Army.
I see that.
Shay, you're a great representative. And we did this program, and this gal Angie came in, and she went through our program, and didn't pay any attention to her because I normally don't. I don't spend a lot of time with the students. Normally, I'm pretty relentlessly driven going forward, and it's better for them not to engage with me. If they do, it's nothing good is a result. And she came to me later, and she goes, "Hey, I wanted to thank you." And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, I was unemployed. I was homeless. She had been living in our bathrooms for 4 months while going through school. And you know the bathrooms." But she said that she didn't have another option. She had just lost hope. And she said, I unemployed, homeless, I'd lost hope. But then when I walked through the doors of Workshops for Warriors, I found hope again. I wanted to re-engage again. And I felt like it was home with all these other veterans here and people that wanted to help me. You gave me hope again. And I said, well, that's great. She goes, well, no, you don't understand. She went through her course, and 32 weeks later, she goes, I now make 20 bucks an hour, and I'm able to pay for rent and live in a house for the first time in 5 years. I said, well, that's great. And she goes, no, you don't understand. My kids were taken from me because I couldn't afford to keep them, and I couldn't keep them on the streets. They took my babies from me, and I'm back with my girls for the first time in 5 years. And so that's when I said, we're moving forward no matter what.
Thank you.
Wow. That is amazing. Oh, man. Let's keep it up. One more round of applause for Hernan for moving forward. That's what we're going to do.
Stand up.
And the gentlemen here, Workshop, the real warriors. Let's stand up for you guys.
Thank you, guys. Stand up, especially you, man. These are our ambassadors right here.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hernan, thank you so much. Oh, man. See, this has been one eventful evening for all of us. We're down to the last speaker now. And I just want to take this moment to publicly thank our sponsors who provided the beer, the pizza. Chicago Bros gave us those pizzas. And, you know, they were very, very nice in supporting the troops. And now you know these stories. And thank you. And also, who else? We've Dollar Shave Club got behind our mission. You know, our troops need a shave, right? Male or female. So they pretty much donated 100 shavers for everyone in this audience as well to take before they leave out. Yeah, there you go. Let's give them a little Dollar Shave Club. Thank you for that. Also, for first-time Uber drivers, Uber, there's a bunch of bags when you walk out. There's a bunch of goodies in there. Uber has given free rides for people who have not used Uber for the first time. And I'm trying to look at all our other sponsors here. Let's see, Pigment gave us all those bags. They're a shop down the street that does a lot of cool, crafty products. Also, let me see, I said Dollar Shave Club. Jersey Mike's, the beer, yes, Thorn Street Brewery in North Park. They gave us the 2 kegs in the back. I haven't been able to try it yet, but I hope it's good. And I hope you guys haven't finished it all. And also, Encontro, yeah, they are across the street and they wanted to welcome everyone here for the after party. They're giving some 50% off drinks and 20% off food for us if you get a ticket. So there you go, Encontro. Also explore that store. You know, Ryan over here, yeah, he's the one who does all our audio and our video and everything for us, all pro bono. You know, so Ryan, thank you for that. And also, this place here was provided by Union. You know, they give it to us for free to conduct these conferences. We have not spent a dime because of what we're doing. And in terms of all these sponsors. So Union, let's give it up for them for hooking us up. And did y'all enjoy those burgers? Yeah? Okay, good. That was provided by Crazy Burger down the street. You know, the guy is all about the military. So let's give him a round of applause. And Mission Volant, you know, Robbie, Workshops for Warriors, the nonprofits. Can you believe that? That's 2 doing great things, you know. Even Robbie wanted to skydive into here, but I was like, hey, Robbie, maybe we should not do that right now. He's like, no, I'll do it. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't know. You want me to rappel too? I was like, what does rappel mean? And that means diving out of a helicopter, you know. I'm like, wow, man, you are extreme. All right, we're going to save that for a right one. Not right now, because I don't want to get any letters from the city. So, as the last speaker actually tonight is myself. So I know people are like, who's the guest speaker? Oh, thank you for a little woo here. Yeah, thank you. When I say that, everybody gets up and leaves. I'm like, no, wait, this is gonna be a good story, you know. But everybody always asks, and we've been doing this 4 times now, and everyone always asks, you know, Chris, what's your story? And I figure, I'm like, nah, it's not about me. It's about the troops. It's about the people. It's about our movement. We are millennials. We are young, and we're doing this for millennials and for our military. And I just wanted to tell y'all briefly why I'm doing this, why I'm here today. And I think we all have those like pivotal moments in our lives where we say, okay, it was because of that moment why we're here today, right? I mean, do we all have those moments, right? Okay, good. So far I'm on the track here. But I was 13, one late night, I was just going to the taco shop by my house. Not a crazy scenario, right? Late at night. And I remember just getting up, getting ready to go, 13, 7th grade. And as I was walking out to the street, I see the taco shop in the corner, But then my friends, homies, I'm gonna call them homies, they pulled up in 2 cars. And I remember I had Soriano on my PE shirt. So they'd call me El Soriano, right? Like, El Soriano, you want to hang out with us? And I was like, oh, these are the cool guys. These guys were probably like 26 or 30 at the time. And, I was only 13. So I was like, man, I'd love to hang out with you guys. Yeah, sure. So shaved heads. They were all affiliated in gangs. Where I grew up was a tough neighborhood. So I said, you just want to be accepted at 13. So I said, all right, I'm not a homie. I'm not a bro. Let me hang out with you though. All right. I'm Filipino. So, and so the car was so packed. There were 2 cars. And it was so packed that I had to sit on someone's lap. And I remember, these guys are tough guys. They're like, hey, yeah, don't sit on my lap like that. I'm like, oh, sorry. Let me sit a little bit in between your lap. And, it's really uncomfortable, right? So here we are. I'm like, where are we going? Where are we going? They're like, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to take you somewhere. It's going to be fun. It's like, all right, it's going to be fun. I'm with cool guys. So there we go. And we go to a park and then everybody gets out. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I started seeing this like circle form around me. I was like, oh man, this doesn't look too good. Let me try to get out of this circle, let me get back here. And so they push me back in the circle. And then I see some guy wear these gloves. And I'm like, are we going to do some garden work? What's going on right now? It's late at night. There's a circle around me and some gloves. This might not be good. And so they slid on these gloves called riders, as they call in the hood. So this guy put on these gloves and they're like, El Soriano, if you want to hang out with us, you got to show us you're down by fighting one of us. I was like, man, I don't want to fight, man. I just want to hang out. And so he's like, well, how about this? We'll give you the guy who doesn't really know how to fight that much. I was like, okay, that sounds like an interesting deal. Can I negotiate? Can I get out of this? I mean, I'm trying to be sarcastic with them because I thought they would appreciate my humor, but they didn't. And this 6-foot dude comes right in front of me, and I'm like, oh man, this is it. And so I'm like in this circle, 6-foot dude. And I'm looking at him dead in the eye, and he's not smiling. And I'm smiling at him, thinking, please go easy on me, man. It's not going to be good. 13, they're probably 26, as old as I am right now. I'm actually 27. So I look at this guy in the eye, and I'm like, all right, I can't run. There's probably 15 of them. And I got to look at this guy straight in the eye. This is where life goes down, because you can't run, you got to fight. So I ball up my fists, and I look at this guy. And I'm like, damn, I'm going to get my ass kicked right now. And immediately as I move forward, somebody sweeps me from my feet, and all 15 begin to jump me. They pound on me. They kick me on the ground. I'm there like curled up in a ball. And never in my life, I'm not really religious. I am now, but at that time, I was getting kicked, beat, punched. I was like praying to something. I was like, yo, God, someone help me. It was like a thunderstorm. It's funny how you're not really appreciative of your body until 15 people are beating you and kicking you down. And as I was there, crawled up in the ball, trying to get up, I would hear him say, break his nose, break his back, make sure he doesn't walk. Those kind of words constantly. And all you could do in that moment is survive and just chill. Like you can't really do anything. You have to just let go because it's happening so fast. And immediately, the guy who was instigating all this said, all right, he's had enough. He's had enough. And I still have a scar here. You can't really see it. I have a few here. I was bloodied, bruised, and I couldn't even get up. And one of them pulled me up and threw me on a concrete bench. And I go, let's call him. What are we going to call him? He's, and I was like, call what? He was like, you didn't know? I was like, no what? He's like, welcome to the family. I was like, oh, damn, I just got hazed into a gang. I guess I'm a part of the family now. Damn. So I remember looking at this guy and praying a little bit, saying, I don't want this to be my family. I know that there's a future out there. I mean, saying this at 13, being initiated in a gang, I knew at that moment that I didn't want this life. And so from there, I was forwarded to the hospital. I got out, and I began going home. Mother saw everything, and she kept saying, hey, what's going on? You're not telling me what's happening with your life. And I was like, they told me if I told anyone, they'd kill me, and so I'd go to school, and then I'd see my friends, and I would talk to them, and the same thing happened to them. And I'm like, what, you just got jumped in what gang? I was like, we're friends, though. What do you mean? They're like, no, we can't be friends no more. You're that gang, I'm this gang. And then it happened to all my other buddies. So this is a constant thing that was happening in my area. So this is probably what happens in other parts of the world. And so at that young age, I said, I want to tell the world this. I want to spread this, and I want to help other people. And so that's when I said, I want to be a journalist. That's my dream. And I moved. I told my family, I said, I want to go to a different place. I want to go to a different school. My mother and father chose to enroll me in independent schooling. It's called charter schooling. And so I disassociated myself with that life, with those people, and I began a new life, you know? And all those people I would see slowly on, it's embarrassing, on MySpace, that they would be either, you know, in jail, or some of them would move, or unfortunately, some of them would actually die. And I would see, you know, rest in peace, so-and-so or so-and-so. I'm like, dang, that could have been me. And so from that point, I said, okay, how do I get into college? That's the new challenge, right? I disassociated myself with those people. And I said, okay, if I want to be a journalist, I got to go to college. I got to get my degree. I got to do something. And I'm fast forwarding my life a bit, just in the interest of time. I'm an average student. I'm like a C student. I'm not really brilliant at all. So I remember applying to San Diego State University, and my GPA was 1.98. I'm not kidding. I know some people are like, damn, is that low? Yes, it's that low. All right. So it was really low. And but I knew in my heart that I wanted to go to freaking college. I say freaking because I'm like, I was so tough. But I said, I'm going to find a way to get into college. And I remember meeting with a counselor and saying, hey, I want to go to college. I know I don't have the GPA, but can you help me out? And she was like, you can still apply, but they might deny you. I was like, no, they might accept me. Who knows? So, you know, silly, right? That's just how my mind worked. I applied and I got denied. So, you know, where's this dang denial letter? I need that thing. Okay. Yeah, I framed it for a reason. Exactly. Someone's like, framed? Who frames a denial letter, right? I spilled coffee on that thing and everything. All right. So I'll share you what the first sentence of a denial letter sounds like, because I don't think a lot of you have gotten this. It says, Dear Christopher, thank you for applying to San Diego State University. That's the first sentence. It's got a negative connotation, right? Thank you. And then after carefully reviewing your application, we were unable to offer you admission for the fall 2011 semester. So, you know, I took this letter and I said, dang, that sucks. You know, I got a denial letter. But I'm the type of person that doesn't take no for an answer. You know, I'm just like a survivor, right? I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep fighting. And so what I did was I said, you know what, maybe I could email the president of the college and he might let me in. Crazy enough, right? And so I go and I emailed the president, and I remember it's just right before, I did it from my phone, before I was going to go into the movie theater too. I remember that day, it was crazy. I just shot it and over on my BlackBerry, and then I know we're going back, right? So, and then the very next day, someone in the office of the president, you know, said, because I told the president my story, you know, it was kind of like a long email, actually. It was like two pages or something. And I said, hey, you know, this is what I went through to get this far. I was hazed into a gang. I didn't let that stop me. I'm at this point in my life right now where I want to go to college. I believe that every rule has an exception. Great leaders like Martin Luther King escaped from Birmingham jail just by a letter. So I believe that there's an opportunity here. I really said it like that. And I even added that if the, you know, front door's locked or the back door's jammed, to me, the window would be the next option. I sound like a house robber, damn it. But, you know, but the point was, I sent that to the president, hoping I'd get a response. And the very next day, I did get a response. Not from the president, though, from the admissions appeal committee. So I was like, damn, there's an appeal committee. What does that mean? I remember telling my family, like, what's an appeal committee mean? What's a committee? You know, and they're like, well, a committee is of people that make decisions based upon the exceptions of anyways. So I was like, this must mean good news. I hope I get into this college. So, and I was like, I saw one word on that admissions letter and said, it has to be unanimous whether we can vote you in or not. I was like, unanimous? That must mean everybody has to agree. And so I was like, well, how many people are on that dang committee? Because if one says, no, I won't go to college. And so I found out later there was like 16 people on the admissions appeal committee, and they all had to say yes for me to get into SDSU. So they all voted, and the first letter they sent me was, Dear Christopher, congratulations and welcome to the class of 2013. Thank you. Thank you. It goes on, and I spilled coffee on this thing too. So getting beat up, curled up in a ball, thought I was going to die, fight for survival, go into college, got denied, still PowerPoint presentation. You know, so where are we? This is Hernan's PowerPoint. It's actually pretty good. Oh, no, we're good. Okay. Oh, thank you. No, actually, I have no PowerPoint. It's just all impromptu, just me sharing, because people want to know my story. My tip for everyone tonight as an action item is that do not let failure stop you from anything. I look at failure as an opportunity for growth. I believe in miracles. Author of a great novel that she wrote. The purpose of me being here tonight is connect all our troops, former troops, with great leaders in this community, great people. And I fight every day for positivity because I believe my life was lived for a purpose that goes beyond survival. You know, it goes to a point where we're here to change lives. I hope that each and every one of you were able to get a little tidbit from my life, from Hernan's life, from Robbie Hill, from Teresa Larson, from Neil, and know what Clever Talks has to offer. And thank you for listening to my talk. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. They're all like waving. It's like a rock concert over there. Thank you. That's really nice. This is comprised of family and friends and you people. And, you know, I guess lastly, these note cards that you see, it's what we are, a 501c3 nonprofit. And how we continue to thrive is on donations or any help that you can give us. I want to continue to put on these conferences, but they've all been funded through my pocket, my friend's pocket, our co-founder, Hillary Manilak. If you could stand up, Hill, so people could see who you are. You know, we take no salaries as well. We just do this because we're here to really make a difference. We're both journalists. Our whole team, could you give it up for our volunteers, our videographers too? And so if you believe in our cause, you know, feel free to, you know, just check one of these, or if not check one of these, leave it up at the front with your information, and we'd be happy to follow up and continue this legacy of Clever Talks. And thank you for being here tonight. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate each and every one of you being here. And as a token of my appreciation, we've got gift bags there for you. So that's actually from our sponsors. But I'm willing to open up to questions about my life to anybody in this audience. Oh, person in the back, yes. You're gonna have to scream because I don't have a, oh, he's getting.
What is it about giving back that is so important to you?
It's a great question. To me, giving back is living your purpose, I think, because when we die, we don't take anything back with us, right? These clothes, these shoes, you got to give it all away. And I feel like when you give back, you actually learn more. Like I remember the other day, somebody was asking me, hey, how do you sign up and register your 501 or your nonprofit? I'm like, let me show you. And I'm explaining it to him, and I'm actually reinforcing that knowledge. So I feel like giving back is the most important thing of my life. Because when I'm gone, I'll realize that the people that I've helped will be able to help other people. Just like Workshop for Warriors said, you know, living that legacy to just keep on going. So it's a part of my blood, and I should have been dead at 13, so I'm happy I'm alive. So I'm just gonna keep giving until I die. So, our mission, that's a great question. Our mission with Clever Talks is to really empower and share these great successful stories with military troops and also transitioning veterans across the world. I feel that our stories are really valuable, and it's all live streaming and it's all out there. And I feel like military troops, you know, when they're feeling sad, or when they're on the ship, or when they're out there in war, they could really watch these talks for a boost of morale, you know? That's our purpose. I wish I could give you a memorized, like, our mission is to do this, this, and this, but I just want to speak from the heart, and that's why we're here today. Thank you. Any other questions about my life? Anything, tips, whatever? What's for dinner tonight? I don't know. Questions, last questions? Okay, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a great night and connect with the great people here. Y'all been an awesome, awesome audience. Thank you.